As the night descended on the Scottish Highlands, 23 players approached the Scottish castle for the start of the Traitors US Season 4. It was all too familiar for one player as we saw the return of Dorinda. One of the top questions I had was, would Dorinda last longer than she did in Season 3? The others were, would Alan stick with the tried and tested plan of picking a set of traitors that mostly consisted of gamers, and would the latest twist from UK Season 4 make it into this version? The entrances are normally in the daytime, so I instantly knew something different was about to happen. The fire was hopefully a sign of what this season had in store for us. Going into the latest US season, I felt like this was the highest amount of players I either had some knowledge of what they were famous for, or I had at least heard of them. Out of the 22 new faces to the game, 14 of the players fell into that category. One of the people I was interested in seeing how they fared was Rob C. I have watched the odd video he has posted on his channel. As he is someone who has spoken about the game a lot and is a Survivor alumni, I was keen to see how Rob C would approach things and what role he would be given. There were players that knew each other and players that didn't. Maura didn't even know what most of them were famous for. Johnny and Tara were trying to downplay how well they know each other. I know about them, so I wondered how long they would be able to hide the fact they are actual besties. As soon as Alan told them he was going to pick a secret traitor that no one, including us viewers, would know of, my first thought was, would it be Dorinda? Before I watched the episode, I did wonder if the US version would take on this part of the game that's recently been seen on UK Season 4, seeing as they do most of the same missions and twists. With Dorinda's return, I also wondered if they would make her a traitor this time around. Alan was doing this before anyone even entered the castle. The guards held 23 chests for each player. 22 chests would be empty, while one would have a traitor card. The question was, would the chosen one have the best poker face? As Monet and Jam Jam were talking, I thought that what they were suggesting wouldn't be a bad shout. As a traitor, Donna would be an interesting pick that could fly under the radar, someone that could even be a good candidate as a secret traitor. Before Alan picked his traitors at the round table, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be absolutely hilarious if he picked an all-housewife set of traitors? So I was surprised when he first picked Candice, then Lisa. I didn't get my comedic moment because Alan then chose Rob R. Then I wondered, did Alan do something another edition did recently where the host actually touched all the faithfuls and the traitors were the ones that weren't touched? I asked because Alan normally picks at least one Survivor and Big Brother alumni, so I was very surprised a single gamer wasn't picked. Well, there was no switcheroo. Candice, Lisa and Rob R were the traitors, and then we had the unknown secret traitor. This was definitely going to be an interesting season. Michael was not doing himself any favours, loudly saying the odds are that there's at least one traitor amongst both the gamers and housewives because there's 5 of them in both groups. He also said Rob R's quietness might get him into trouble. Way to put the attention on you and be a candidate for banishment or murder. Before she met her fellow traitors, Candice had already mentioned Lisa as a possible traitor. This could have made things a little awkward in the turret. Rob R also thought Lisa was a traitor but didn't tell anyone. In the turret, the traitors worked out none of them got the card. Alan confirmed there's a 4th traitor. The interesting development was that the secret traitor wouldn't know the identity of the other traitors either. The secret traitor will devise a short list for murder, and the other traitors would pick the victim from the list. The traitors will get a chance later on to join up together. The 3 made an agreement to be loyal to each other. Let's see how long that lasts. The first mission of the season involved 100 coffins floating in the water with only 12 worth gold. Split into 3 teams, they needed to find the coffins with a $sign on them, tow the coffins back to land and put them in an empty grave. For every coffin in a grave, $2,500 would be added to the prize pot. They had 45 minutes to complete the mission. What they weren't aware of until they reached the graves was that all their names were on the graves, and placing a coffin in a grave meant that person was up for murder. Comedic moments during the mission was when the boats didn't move and when Johnny fell in the water. Natalie came up with a plan to work together with one of the other teams, so the red and green team agreed to not put coffins in each other's graves. Later on, the green team were at the graves at the same time as the white team, so they made an alliance too. This was because the green team didn't want them to see that they were targeting them, probably wanted to save themselves too. Despite a failed attempt to get another in the dying seconds, 9 coffins were placed, which meant $22,500 was added to the prize pot. Ron, Rob R, Donna, Eric, Michael, Ian, Dorinda, Rob C, and Mark were the ones up for murder. Even Alan made them fill up their own graves. Poor Dorinda. Would she survive, or would she be the first one murdered for the second time? I know Drag Race has the term pork chopped, which is given to the first eliminated queen, as the first ever eliminated queen was called pork chop. Has anyone coined a term for the first murder victim, or even the first banished player? Maybe I should rewatch Neverland season 1 and remind myself who the first murdered victim was and come up with a name based on it. I'm not sure why Candice thought it was a good idea to tell Portia that Michael had specifically said to go for the housewives during the challenge. There was no way Portia wasn't going to say something back at the castle and confront Michael, which she did. It was funny how everyone was following Michael and Portia to the kitchen to watch the drama unfold. Maybe the chaos and confusion that came afterwards was the whole plan. Mara happened to be in the car with Candice and Portia, but she was useless at being a witness as she has a self-confessed terrible memory. Candice said that Portia misunderstood and that she was talking about something Michael had said the previous evening. Even I was confused, and I even went back to see what Candice actually said in the car. Did Candice know about Mora's terrible memory? Because how did she think she was going to be able to get away with it? I felt like we were actually watching someone being gaslit. 4 players were shortlisted by the secret traitor. Those players were Eric, Ian, Mark and Rob R, which meant one of Eric, Ian or Mark was going to be the first victim. This meant the 2 that survived were not the secret traitor, and it also meant Dorinda would make it past the first night. My first thought was that they should pick Ian purely because he's a gamer. My initial observations of the 3 known traitors were as follows. Lisa either looked nervous or was overdoing it with her acting straight after the traitor picks, but she seemed to have settled into things and toned it down. Candice is starting some chaos and things are gonna get messy because I think whatever this plan of hers is, it might come back to bite her. I don't have much opinion on Rob R because he's just been about without doing anything to draw attention his way. My initial thoughts on who the secret traitor might be is that it's either Donna, Dorinda or Rob C. These thoughts are purely based on absolutely nothing.